Yo, welcome to the Gransberry Chronicles.
Oh, you trying to do too much.
I'm gonna try to get back in there, man. I'm trying my best. Stuff
What are
be
you doing? How you start with technical difficulties?
man. I picked a different camera. It didn't participate. It said, "Don't try me today."
How
Um,
you,
I'm not ready to go.
you was ready already. I don't know what you started doing over there. Doing too much.
So I figured out what it is. Not that people care. But welcome to the Gransberry Chronicles. Weekly pick 'em. It's week 11, and even with technical difficulties, we are here.
We up in here.
Um, yeah, so there's this funny thing about my connector C-Link.
Mm.
It obviously must have a short. So it just dropped everything that was connected.
It was like no,
Yeah,
no,
not today. Not
not
today.
today, not today,
And
sucker.
so in that, I lost my beautiful camera one. But anyway,
That's all right.
okay,
Camera two is doing just perfect.
who was here?
It's,
And that
it's,
audio was there. That audio was there. Look, I could, it could have been a wardrobe malfunction. But look, hey, everybody out there in live comment land. We're back. It's week 11. I'm over all of the Philly fan rudeness. I've settled in a little bit. I'm moving forward. I'm still in celebration mode, as you can tell by my lovely hat. Um, I don't
stay
know.
there.
I'm gonna stay there. I mean, it's what I got right now.
I mean, we got
Uh,
all year.
yeah. Pretty much. I mean,
Yeah,
it's not like
yeah.
anybody else can take our place. But look, guys, we're glad to be back on a Wednesday. I cannot guarantee you we'll be on next Wednesday. We'll be on, but I don't know we're gonna be on next Wednesday. I'm gonna have to talk to D Jones about that, and we'll let y'all know how we gonna play Thanksgiving week. But
We can
anyway,
be on. We might be cooking at the same time. We can be on.
you know what? I'm with that. I'm with that. I'm with that cooking. Yeah, I've been cooking all week. Matter of fact. Um, but look, guys, there's one funny thing I want to talk about. Uh, these I mentioned when I did the write up for today. I said, there is not one team right now that makes you like say, man, I'm counting on them in February, and that's good and bad, right?
It's good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good because we all got to keep watching, but it's also a concern because it's like we've been having some funny football lately, right? Some inconsistent football. Great games. I still personally have not seen the full Minnesota and Buffalo game. I mean, I was trying to support my niece and I was doing it diligently, watching her volleyball game without checking the football feed, which I could have. I was totally devoted. So I'm okay with that. And I know that the game is out there for me to see, but I'm also happy for the fans, right? One thing we want on Sunday is that any given Sunday feeling. And I feel like when I was looking at my timeline, that's what was going on. People were so intrigued about the game, they were heavily into it. And I just freaking loved it. I loved everything I was seeing. Like people were like, oh man, if you're not watching this game, oh man. And then I had my own down moment about it, only in chat. Remember, I haven't seen the game. When I told Derek about my issues with it's almost pointless for the league to come out the next day and say that calls were wrong. Like you're not changing the score, you're not giving a free day off and a paycheck. Like at this point, those should be internal meetings. Those should be knocks against those refs for the opportunity for playoffs and teaching tools because at this point most people were already there anyway. They didn't believe some things were right or they saw some things that were wrong. And we know it's not a perfect system to reffing, but one thing for sure, you got to get those last 2 minutes and overtime right. And it was something that I said I could appreciate about baseball. It moves a little slower. So you have an opportunity to do the replays and they was solid on those replays. They kept doing them over and over. to figure out, we want to get this right. We don't want a game decided on a bad call. So that's my take on that. You got any input? I mean, I know it's
Yeah,
a
I
monologue.
think I think refereeing is not intended to be perfect, and that's part of the sport. That's part of the beauty of every sport we watch, not just football, baseball, or basketball. I mean, it's going to be some judgment calls, and it's part of the gameplay. Watching that game, that was the play in question was a incomplete pass that it didn't really determine the game, but it was a bad call, right? Buffalo in the gameplay rushed up to the line and ran a play before they could see it again on the TV, right? Or whatever monitors they're using up in the booth. So it's part of the gameplay. So that's just the part of the game. I mean, it becomes unfortunate when it decides the game. I don't think that play decided the game. There's plenty bad calls in a game that can change momentum, that can lead to a different score.
Yeah, are you sure? Because they said that's the play that set up. It wasn't Buffalo that got the free play. It was Minnesota.
I may be missing the play then. I may be missing the play because there was a play that Buffalo had that was an incomplete pass that they called a complete pass. Buffalo, went up to the line and ran a play before they could reverse it. So we might be talking about different plays.
Okay.
But so yeah, maybe I need to go back because I think I missed that. But yeah, I agree with you when it comes to deciding the game. I don't like it when it decides the game, but that's just part of why we watch. I mean, it's just, even when you talk about the parity and some of the games, some games have been pretty bad. But when you have a game that's competitive, I mean, how can you be mad at that? You know what I mean? How can you be mad
if you're the loser
if it's your team, definitely. If it's your team, then yeah, that's understandable. But what I'm saying is, as a fan,
that rule. But they don't even have that rule. The rule now doesn't even allow you to challenge anything inside that time frame, and those are things that you normally can challenge. So it's not like something you can't challenge at all. It's something you can't challenge within a time frame, and that seems to be the most critical time of the game.
Well, that goes, they can't at all, and I get that. So the booth has to be quicker than that. I mean, but the answer to that it can still happen. The answer would be take that rule away, and then if the coaches have the challenge, they can use that challenge. But if they are the challenges, guess what's going to happen? The same thing going to happen. You know what I mean?
That's hindsight. But that's hindsight.
But I'm like, you got the rules there. You got to play within those rules, and they're there to make it better, not to make it perfect. That don't mean it's never going to be a mistake. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be judgment calls. There's going to be coaches out of challenges. There's going to be, hey, I wish you could have reviewed it. There's going to be Thanksgiving with the with the Texans in Detroit, and then that leads to another rule change. You know what I mean?
So it does, but I mean, I think we've all benefited from the fact that all scores are reviewed. I think it improved the game. So you're right. Yeah. I mean, you want to think about it because you want to improve the game, not selfishly just decide for one team.
Correct. You want to improve it, but it's never going to be perfect.
No, right? And I'm not looking for perfection, but I think when you have isolated unavailability, you kind of leave room for a lot of bad judgment.
Well, that's the imperfection. You know what I mean? Without those moments, it would be perfect. That's the imperfection. You're gonna have those.
No, because you can still call it wrong. I mean, people have booed things that were called one way and they stand because it's not enough to reverse it. But at least we know it was looked at.
It was clear. But see, in the contrary to that, I feel like watching some of the college games where they do more booth review and it take a long time and they slow the game and they be reviewing stuff that don't need to be reviewed. I feel you. I'm already there. But I feel like they extend the game so much with their reviews sometimes, and it's like it's a clear cut. Okay, let's keep moving. So I get you though. I mean, it's again, we go back to improve the game, but it's never going to be perfect.
And we're gonna move on since our viewer, Coach Truck. Shout out to Coach Truck. He wanted to make sure we give a salute to Derek and his emotional pack pick last week. And making sure that Green Bay didn't go on a 6-game losing streak, or better yet, they still own the Cowboys, whichever way you want to look at it.
Oh,
Um,
just
that game sparked a conversation. I wouldn't say it sparked a conversation. My statement sparked a conversation, and my statement was, "See why you don't want to date a Dallas Cowboys fan. Look at your timeline tonight. It's just toxic." Okay. And I stand by that statement. And the fans of that team jumped in the comments. And all of the ones who were like in their gung ho attack mode, who personally wanted to let me know that I must be in my feelings or all this other kind of stuff and talk about my team, didn't read the post. The post said the fans. I never said anything about the team. And I think that with the plethora of sports groups that I'm in, the sports groups that I run, all of the football I watch, because for some reason, people think the only thing I watch is Dallas and Houston. Get your mind right. And it's not. That you are the only, that nobody else, I don't even know the best way to describe it. Nobody comes close to the way y'all act. It doesn't even have anything to do with the number of fans. All you actually do is build my statistics based on the number of fans. But
Yankee fans right there too.
okay, but that's baseball.
Yeah, but I'm just that's the closest.
Yeah, you
Nobody
right.
else in football.
You're right. And I think we're at an advantage of where we are. There's just not enough Yankee fans that it would make a significant difference.
Sure.
So my favorite nephew is calling me. And
so let me get him out the way.
Yeah, you do to get him out the way because I really want to talk to my nephew. Y'all can feel how y'all feel.
Well, if he calling, go get it. So to get him out the way, picks this week. I'll try to take my time so you can figure out what's going on. The first pick is at Chicago, Atlanta. B Pat and I pick Chicago. Gransberry solo. She picks Atlanta to beat Chicago. The next one is Philly over Indy. We all pick Philly to get back in the winning track and beat Indy. We still kind of upset that the Raiders let Indy win that game because we feel some kind of way about this coaching situation they got going on. The next one is the Rams and New Orleans. Another solo pick by the Gransberry. Gransberry picked the Rams, and B Pat and I picked New Orleans. The next game is Detroit and the Giants. We all went with the Giants over Detroit. We all also selected Baltimore to take out Carolina. We all picked Denver over the Raiders. We all picked Cincinnati over Pittsburgh. And then we all picked San Francisco to beat Arizona. So those are the games we got out the way. So we'll get into the real deal games now. I feel you, Dre. We're not going to talk about Philly this week just because they playing a team that's not worthy of our conversation right now. Let me bring B Pat in here. But you are right. They have been the most dominant team so far. We did not pick them to lose last week, and I think they'll get back on track this week. So we hear you there.
Who you think is the most dominant team?
He said the Eagles. The Eagles have been the most dominant team so far.
They haven't trailed Dre, but they did actually. The Texans were actually tied with them at halftime when we played them. I don't know if I would call it dominance, but I would definitely say the most well put together team because it's iffy. And I only say iffy because they aren't like you remember when like the Chiefs were just beating everybody by at least 2 to 3 touchdowns. Like they were dominating their games. I think they have a great game plan, but I think some of their weaknesses were exposed on Monday.
Well, not to get into the Philly talk since we're going to get back in the games, but I told you early this year, I say the one thing that I saw even while they was winning was they wasn't putting their foot on people's throats. And I was like, it seemed like they quarters I was like, at a different time. I was like they was letting up at times and then they would go back. And I'm like, if they really was to put their foot on people's neck, these games wouldn't even be close. But But
But
yeah,
I still think Dre's on the right track. It's the closest thing we have. Right. So he just said it. He just said that can't be the standard of dominance. I was like, it's the closest thing we got. So that's what we're gonna have to go with. So that was just what I was about to say, Dre. It's still that, but I just, I've seen it look a little different, and that's probably why. But since we're not going to talk about that game, because we pretty much think and hope that Philadelphia will remind the Colts that they got a broadcaster running their team.
As a coach.
I'm not going to even say that word with him. They got a broadcaster running their team, and I'm gonna say that, and it's not even like I want to be disrespectful, and I want to piggyback off of something that Joy Taylor said, because it resonates with me on a lot of things. Usually when there are conversations about football, people always want to exclude women, and that's actually how Pumps Cleats Couture was started. It was more so because I would be in sports groups, I would have an opinion, and the rudeness of men would say, go make a sandwich or rub your man's back, but stop talking about football. I don't respond to comments from women, just anything to be negative based on because you didn't play the game. And we always see different people in sports groups say they don't want to listen to someone who insults players or has opinions and has never played the game. And so for me, I feel like he has changed the dynamic of what it takes to be qualified for a job significantly. So no one ever, as Joyce said eloquently, should ever say he needs more experience, because it's obviously not true. It's obviously not true. It's not like you're trying to get a job as a model and they're like, well, you're knock-kneed and you keep running to your own knees on the runway. We can't use you. Or, you can't fit the model's clothes or whatever. And so with all of that being said, this is very insulting, and this is beyond nepotism, right? We've worked in worlds of nepotism, but at least for the most part, they actually go get the skill set required or the education required. And they may skip out on the years of experience. He's literally getting a paycheck to hand off all the other responsibilities. And we know that all the teams that have recently won that championship trophy in February, it takes more than delegation. It takes more than delegation. And it takes more than you left the booth on Monday and showed up to the team locker room on Tuesday.
Come on.
So if that's the case, I mean, ESPN, call me tomorrow. I can fly to Connecticut. Just go ahead and put me on, tomorrow with
take his spot. Just take his spot.
I mean, I got a degree in communications, radio, TV. Just holler at me.
You already more qualified for the position than he was for this one.
So, I'll be there tomorrow. Just let me know.
We can get off that soapbox.
If that's what we're doing. And I mean, the Colts, call me tomorrow. Let me run player development. I got it. Okay, I'm going to stop on my rant. But okay, let's get to these games. Tomorrow night's game is actually, I think it'll be pretty decent. It's Dre's team.
His
Tennessee.
other team,
yeah.
His other team and my other team.
His other team. We like you. His other team. Tennessee versus Green Bay. Because they're at home and they feeling good off that win. And I'm gonna give Green Bay this one. I'm gonna give Green Bay this one. I mean, for those top two reasons. And I think, oh Lord, here we go.
Look here, he got back up.
Oh,
he got back up in the room.
Tonight the comments are live with the Tennessee Titan fans. I don't know if they must have had a rally town meeting before the show, but I I'm passing it to Derek. Derek.
Well, you know where I stand. You already know where I'm standing on this one, especially since Gentry entered the room. So I'm definitely not going to back down on my talk. This is all packed. You got the weather. Tannehill ain't gonna be able to do nothing, so they can hand it off. This is running football, good football weather. I dig that, but it looks like the Packers finally realized that we needed to run Aaron Jones and not AJ Dillon. I keep messing up his name every week, but I got him. I got him this week. So yeah, this is all Pack. I think we ride the high of last week, the emotions of last week, coming back from 2 touchdowns down to get this going. So yeah, this is Packers, not even close.
Well, we was gonna ask Coach Big Sexy, but he must have had an entanglement.
Yeah,
He
it looks like
probably
he was
trying to
moving around.
he probably trying to get down the highway. He trying to support our alum. He was at PV tonight, so I can't give him too much flack for that. But I actually am looking forward to this match on replay. I will miss it live because I will be in Frisco at the Star watching my nephew in round 2 of the playoffs for DeSoto. Go DeSoto. So I will have to find out about this game at a later time because, as I've stated earlier during the show, when I'm supporting my niece and nephew, I'm all in. I don't be trying to watch other games. So
this should be a good one on Thursday. The last few Thursdays have been pretty bad, so this should be a good one.
Almost every Thursday has been pretty bad, but that's
it started off okay, and then they had the Texans, then they had I think 1 week they had another 2 losing teams. So this one should be pretty good.
The fact that you can't name me a good Thursday night matchup proves that it has not.
I have to go back. The first few weeks it wasn't bad to look at.
It was slow games.
It might have been slow, but it was good matchups.
Sure. All right, game 2, Cleveland versus Buffalo.
Fireworks every week. It ain't like that.
I do. I do.
We in it.
I do.
We in it.
Cleveland versus Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
And since Buffalo had such a crazy game, I think they get an easy win with Cleveland because obviously Deshaun's still not under center.
He was at practice today though.
Right, but he can't play.
I know. I'm just reminding people he coming. You know, that's still my boy.
Oh man, oh man.
He don't come back this week, bro. He don't come back till December 4th. But he was able to practice today. So with that said, Buffalo. And I saw they expecting like 3 to 6 feet of snow.
Oh, it's gonna be pretty bad. Like pretty bad.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's bananas. I hope that was a typo that I read, but
no, it wasn't.
Gonna be like,
they're actually heavily concerned about it. But this is the stadium where they asked the fans to actually, I think, shovel the
to come shovel up. Yeah,
because X-nay on the shovel because I'm not doing it. It's a lot of things I like, and it's a lot of things I want to do, and that ain't one of them. So next game is I don't even know kind of why I put this game on here, mainly because I guess there were other games to talk about. Or maybe I didn't. Did I put New England versus the Jets on here? I did.
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I'll tell you why. Because the AFC East is the strongest division right now, and I wanted to go ahead and talk about another matchup in that division because I think this is this part of the season is when this division will thin out at its best.
On the AFC side, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that was my reason. I really do think the Patriots right now are the weakest link for that division, and division matchups are always tough. And the game is in New England, but I feel like the Jets are getting a little energy about themselves that like I said, we weren't able to grasp and latch on to earlier in the season, and they're improving weekly. Whereas the Patriots are just kind of they're Belichick hanging in, I would say. So with that in mind, who you going with, D?
I'm going Belichick. I'm not, you know how we do. I'm going Belichick on this. Not necessarily New England. I'm going with Belichick on this. I think, I like the swag that the Jets are playing with right now, especially defensively. But their quarterback is still a liability at this point. So I feel like whenever you have a one-dimensional offense, that makes things 10 times easier for Belichick because that's typically what he's going to do to you anyway. Exactly. So I'm gonna go Belichick on this and say New England beats the Jets.
And I didn't realize they were at home until
Mm-hmm.
earlier in our prep for the show. So I'm definitely going to go with Belichick and not the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Gonzalez, don't forget the Jets were doing pretty well when they had Fitzmagic, and then he fizzled on them because they almost made the playoffs that year. And due to his fizzle, I think he threw 3 interceptions in that one game, and it just kind of he diminished their hopes.
Yeah.
So it's been a few years, but they did have some winning moments when Fitz went there after us. Specifically, I remember
That
that.
defense is playing crazy though. That defense is bananas.
Yeah, it's balling, but that's
Mm-hmm.
not enough. They don't have enough turnover points. Brandon said he's going with the Pats at home. I hope you're not driving and texting, but either way, that's your call. Now we're gonna move on over to Minnesota. No, actually, I want to talk about Pittsburgh versus Cincy.
Nah,
I,
we did that one. We got that one out the way, but you can talk about it.
I want to talk about it just briefly. And the
Mm-hmm.
reason, and my reason why is, are you sure what Pittsburgh team is going to show up, or do you think it doesn't matter because it's Cincy?
Well, it's the same situation with what we just talked about with the Jets. It's just the inconsistency at quarterback, and they have a rookie at quarterback. So, um, I mean, they are a good team defensively, and they have
Okay.
good pieces. But I think right now, Cincy is the better team.
Okay, that's fair.
Mhm.
So Dallas versus Minnesota. Minnesota definitely should be riding high, and Mr. No T-shirt, Five Chains Cousins. Um,
Well,
he's
it's Pat P this week. Pat P was on there with the chains and no shirt this week.
see,
So
I missed all that. So I missed all of
yeah, Pat
that.
P had 2 picks this week, so he was on the plane with no shirt and all the chains pushing P. Yeah, so I guess that's
Um,
gonna be their thing till they have to give it to a big man. They better show the big man love if that's the case.
mm, I'm
Mm.
not feeling it, but I do want to. I'm sorry, Dre. I missed your comment about Cincinnati and what quarterback is going to show up against Pittsburgh. I think whatever version of Burrow shows up, he should be able to beat the Steelers. That's just my
Mm.
take. I mean, absent. I mean, throwing 3 or 4 picks.
TJ back. TJ back. He and that line is crazy. So anything can happen. It's a division game, Pittsburgh at home. Anything can happen. I just think overall, right now, Cincinnati is my pick just because they're the better team. I feel you
Yeah,
about
I
the
was good
quarterback,
people.
but I think the same Burrow gonna show up is the line. That's still his problem. So they better.
Oh,
They better, but hey,
okay.
anything can happen.
But no. So 5 chains and chess. That's they at home. So
Mm-hmm.
I think they got enough to beat Dallas. If they can hang with Buffalo, I think they got enough to beat Dallas. I
Uh,
really haven't been paying that much attention to them because remember I was like, 5 chains with on the
yeah.
airplane. I'm not picking Minnesota. I had to eat that crow.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going Minnesota on this one.
Yeah. So you with
I,
me? Okay, but for a different reason must be.
no,
Oh, okay.
nah, nah. They've been playing well.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I trust, I trust Kirk Cousins as much as Dre and Damon trust Tannehill. So,
Oh,
yeah.
Gonzalez said he going with his emotional pick like D Jones last week, and he's picking
Hey,
Dallas no matter what.
hey, I
Um.
might flip with you just because of your emotions. Just
Oh,
because of your
well,
emotions. But
you
nah,
go
I'm going
right
Minnesota right
ahead.
now.
You
I'm
go
going
right
Minnesota
ahead.
right now.
Because one thing I know for sure, the Dallas fans gonna read me my business, and all of my rights because I say that they're a toxic fan base. Anytime you think when you win, you going directly to the championship game. And then anytime you lose, everybody needs to be traded or fired. You're toxic. And that is literally what they go from. There's like no in between. And a prime example is we
You
got
about
two
that?
different we have fans right now in the comments Dre and Damon are both fans of Tennessee. I have seen them make comments about their teams when losing. They are never ready to throw the whole team away and trade everybody and fire the coach, fire the coordinator, whatever. They assess the player who made the error or needs improvement, winning or losing. Even when Henry was hurt, Tannehill was hurt.
I know where you're going,
okay.
But let's be real. Let's show love to one of our loyal. E. Gonzalez has always been solid about his Cowboy takes. He's always so we're not gonna show love to those delusional ones. He's one that's
don't show love. You're right. Gonzalez will say when he's picking, if he's picking emotional, and if he's picking for the Cowboys based on the defense, he'll say that, and he'll say
straight up with it.
He's straight up with it. But my post said about dating, which only applies to me. And so for me, I don't want you. And that's nothing. That's not to Gonzalez directly. So let me be clear. But that's me saying, just dating them is just toxic. Like
serious question right now. Serious question right now.
Okay.
Who's better in the league than Jefferson right now? At receiver. I say nobody.
I say nobody because I did at least see that catch. Oh my God.
Nobody.
And
he was doing his thing before the catch. The catch was just the cherry on top.
It was like over the top. I was going to say, and that's just over the top. That's not even. I would say right now is him, then Hill.
But Hill is clearly number 2.
Yeah, no.
It's not 1A, 1B.
1A and 1B, right. I was going there too. I don't think it's 1A and 1B either.
So it's nobody. Just say it's nobody. Don't try to put somebody else in it. Who else is better than him? I asked you who was number 2.
Okay.
Who is better than him? Nobody. Just love to him. That dude is crazy right now.
Yeah.
Crazy right now.
And so that's what keeps it going, right? Because when you get to see that. I think that's great for Cousins too. Oh gosh, what happened? Let's see. Oh Lord.
That's a question for you. I don't know.
No. You got to be fair. Dre, right though.
No.
Because a lot of times the quarterback. The quarterbacks be kind of. Sometimes a little, like Stafford.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it. That's your lane. I'm gonna let you handle it.
It's my lane, but I'm gonna leave it over there.
I was like, okay, Kurt, do your thuggle.
I mean, he killing it. It's not like it's like put your shirt back on, So
yeah. That's what I say. If a big dude get the chains, show him love too. Let him do it.
Oh, is that why you want to say that? Okay, but all these men are too young for me, so it don't matter. Look but don't touch. All right. So anybody else watching right now, who do you have as number 2? Since we've decided Justin Jefferson is number 1, we're not asking you who's number 1. We've decided collectively, unanimously that Justin is it. So
my number 2 right now is Diggs, but we ain't getting into that. We can do that conversation next week.
Okay, that's what we're gonna do. That might be a fun time. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put a poll out there and see what y'all come back with. Let's put that
on tap next week. Put it on tap next week.
So everybody, you start getting it together and let me know who
top
you.
3. Let's do 3.
Top,
Let's do 3.
Just 3. Your top 3 receivers
right now this year. Not over this year. Right now.
Right now to week 11 through week 11. So week 11 will be over with when we get ready to do it. So we'll cover that. All right, let's move on to Houston. Oh, why do we have to do this to ourselves?
Okay, Washington gonna win this game. Let's keep going.
Okay, awesome, because that's all I want to do. But I got a quick shout out about Washington, since we're not gonna talk about the game. Shout out to my boy E from DC, and shout out to my boy Corey Williams, because they are some diehard Commanders fans. Corey and his wife just had a marvelous week. Sorry, Dre. They went to the Monday Night Football game and witness their team take the wings from the Eagles and landed the bird in the losing column. And they had an awesome time. And I think it was needed because the city needs more pain for being such awful citizens. So it was perfect. You know, they lost the World
You talking about
Series.
Philly again? You talking about
They
Philly?
lost the World Series, and then to follow it up and end in the losing column for football, this was the perfect time for that to happen. So shout out to those two amazing fans. And I got a third one in there, James Baltimore, but he's not really a fan of the show, so he needs to get a fan of the show because your shout out is over. So it's really about E and Corey Williams. But yeah, shout out to them being able to head into Houston and get it done. Um, yeah, that's a good take, Dre. Dre said he can look good with those 20 passes. Let me tell you, it reminded
He
me
did.
really.
He's been playing well.
He did, but I get his point. They ran that ball, but it reminds me of look, Belichick put his team in the win column with less than 10 passes by Jones, and and the defense knew they were going to run the ball and
And couldn't
still
stop it.
couldn't stop it.
And couldn't
So
stop it.
so at the end of the day, if you know what works, why in the world would you ever change it? I mean,
Nah, they had a good game plan. But straight up, they shouldn't even be thinking about Wentz playing right now. Wentz is the backup quarterback, if you ask me. But
no
yeah.
disagreement. No
But I
disagreement.
think they still was trying to figure out who was gonna do what. But
We
yeah.
don't need to remember Henry at Houston. Sit down.
Don't
See,
take the
you
bait.
took it too
Don't
far.
take the bait. He's saying that we knew what he was gonna do, and they still couldn't stop
And
Henry.
honestly,
But
Damon, we did. We said that in our chat. We was like, why is Tennessee even trying to
don't
let
even try to throw the
throw
ball.
the ball? Just
don't even
freaking run the ball. Like
don't
there
even
was no
call it a
reason.
pass play. Yeah, it's not necessary. But Houston is doing a great job keeping that number one draft pick this week, and yeah, and I'll be watching college football, continuing to scout our next quarterback.
Gonzalez, I don't know why you want to root for them to win. You're rooting for them to win the draft. Add a
Yeah,
few more words to the end of that. You're rooting for them to win the draft.
they need a top 3 pick so that they don't have to try to move up and sacrifice any other picks. They need all the picks they can get. So they're doing their job and making the games decent and competitive to watch and entertaining, yet still losing. That's what they should be doing. I appreciate that.
Okay.
All right.
Well, moving on to our game of the week. It's KC versus the Chargers. You know, my backup would have been Tennessee versus Green Bay, but I still have to be like both teams have some shaky moments. Yeah. So that's why I went with the more two stable quarterbacks for my pick of the week. It's a division game. You never know what you're gonna get. But even with that, I'm gonna pick the Chiefs. The last time I saw the Chiefs play the Chargers, they were in SoFi. It was Thursday night football. It went to overtime, and it was a walk-off touchdown by Kelsey. So for me, on the road with these two right now is it's about even. They've both been very competitive, but I think right now the Chiefs are clicking a little bit more than them, and they trying to keep that number one seed spot. So for me, I'm gonna go with the Chiefs.
Yeah, I'm going Chiefs here as well. Mainly, I mean, you said all the things I would say about the division game, but mainly because the Chargers receiving core is still beat up pretty good. Keenan Allen still dealing with a hamstring injury. He's questionable. He's been that for the last few weeks. So I'm not sure if he's going to be ready to come back or not. I think it's just going to be too much firepower on the Chiefs side, but it should be a good game. So it's a good game of the week, but I think the Chiefs win this game. I don't think it's a field goal game, though, Coach. I think this is going to probably be a good touchdown to 10 points spread here.
So Dre, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, we didn't have no pick in the first round to draft Jalen.
No, I think we did. I think you still had Deshaun at the time.
Oh yeah.
Or was that
Oh,
after Tunsil? That was after the Tunsil. But I think they still had a chance to get him because he didn't go to the second round. He didn't go first round. He went second round.
I thought we
But
didn't have a second round pick until late though. We weren't. I
I
have
have to
to
go
go back
back.
and look. I have to
I
go
have to
back
go
and
back and
look, Ray.
look.
But I
But
don't think
they wouldn't have picked him
they
either way
wouldn't
because
have
they
picked
still
him
had
because they
Deshaun,
still
and
had
it was right at
Deshaun.
the beginning of that. Yeah.
Correct. Correct.
They
It was
probably
more
still
to it
thought
than
that it
that.
was, yeah.
And
Deshaun was
remember,
still there
Dre, he was one of the options for the trade. It's Deshaun who made it clear he wasn't going to Philly.
because he didn't want him to have to come back here. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's a little iffy on that because
yeah.
I remember looking at that, but it wasn't as obvious of an option. Yeah, because I mean, you got to think about it. This only his second season.
I think that was 2020 draft, right? So that would have been, yeah, that would make it, this is second season.
2021.
No,
2021. This is his
2021
second
would,
season.
so 2021 would have been his first year, 2022 is his second. So he would have been,
That's the
that I
draft.
had to look it up. You're gonna make me go look it up.
Go look it up because we didn't get a first round draft pick until this year.
No, I'm with you.
Oh, okay. And I know he went in the second round, but we didn't have any leverage.
Let me see. Go ahead, go rant on something while I look it up.
Did he say rent?
Yeah, go
We
rant
know
on something.
well, Brandon, we already know that Watson was still in Houston. That's not really we know that. We said that's part of it too. We were trying to see what was
It
even
was
our
a 20.
first.
It was the 2020 draft, and then he went into the 2021 season. But it was the 20.
No,
The
you get
draft was in
drafted.
2020. I'm reading it right now. Second round, 53rd pick in 2020 draft. Yeah, it
But
was a
that's what they
2020 draft.
called the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah,
I thought this was only Jalen's second season, which means he
I,
would have got drafted last spring in 2021.
so it would have been this is in 2020. So, and I think it was on the heels, like he's saying, it was on the heels of Deshaun saying he didn't want to be here anymore, but at the time, Houston had no intentions of trading him at the time. And then right around when the draft, right before the draft came out, all that stuff started coming out with the women. And then it got worse after that. But I don't think at the time they really thought that it was that Deshaun would not be here anymore.
Because he didn't
If my
start his
timeline is right.
rookie year, right?
Mm-mm.
That's what's throwing me off.
No, because Wentz was still there.
Okay. So then so the year that they drafted him, then we didn't have the pick to draft him.
I know we didn't have a first round. I'm not sure if we
No,
didn't
but
have
we
a
didn't have a high enough pick to draft him because we would have been coming off of I'm saying it out loud. We would have been coming off of that's the year we lost to KC. So we would have been lower in the drafting order. We wouldn't have been at the top of that round to draft. And we would have still thought we was keeping Deshaun at that time. Because that means nothing was going on at that time. Right. So that's what it is, Dre. It wasn't a season we would have even been looking for Jalen. Because everything that changed in Houston changed in 2020. It started in 2020, but it changed last year.
So here's the kicker. You were right. We didn't have a pick, but that's when we traded Hop and we got Arizona's second round pick, which was a higher pick. So they did pass on him because they had a high second round pick, which they picked Ross Blaylock at number 40, and Jalen went 53.
But
so
we didn't have any issues in Houston.
No. I said that part, but I'm just talking about we did have a pick, and they did technically pass on him. But at the time, like I said before, I think they had no intentions of Watson not being here.
Yeah, and I guess for me in wordplay, I don't consider that passing on him. I consider that him not being a need, so he wasn't even on their board.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
No. I mean, I'm saying I agree with you. They didn't. It's not technically a pass, but I'm just using Dre's word as pass
Okay.
on. So they had an opportunity. Yeah, they did have an opportunity to get him, but at the time, that wasn't what they deemed a need. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love it when a good fan loves to show up and start drama. Shout out to Cliff. He killing it out in LA. If you need a mattress, let me just tell you, Cliff can get it for you. You inbox Cliff, you reach out to Cliff, he'll get that mattress shipped to you anywhere you live. You don't have to live in LA or California. Just know he the real deal and he's solid out there. And Hoop Jargon is his YouTube page. Former PV basketball player and national player. He be on it. So you make sure you shout him out, look him up, whether it's Hoop Jargon or for a mattress. And I mean that's not a joke. Like he legit love to see him working hard. He got it going on out there. So we're gonna ignore his comment about his team and just go straight to his appreciation because I know he just want to give me the business based on what I said. But
You
I
kind of
don't
took the
know.
sting away from that.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember, Cliff, because I don't remember if your girl is a Cowboys fan or you done drug her into that lane, because I don't ever remember her making her own decision. But either way, you got it. That LA air might have lightened you up a little bit.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was trying to get me hard with the Cowboy attack coming in there late, coming in hot, as they say. Oh Lord, he said she knew the play. See, that's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about. So, okay, guys, so we're gonna get ready to wrap it up. I'm wishing all the teams well in round 2 of the playoffs, except the team playing DeSoto. So that's Heath. I'm not wishing you well. I'm wishing you a loss. And other than that, we thank y'all for joining us. Remember, we're going to talk about the top 3 receivers. So get ready. We're going to talk about your top 3 and why. And we're going to pick somebody. I'm gonna reach out to a few of you guys, see if you want to come on next week and talk about your 3 with us. We sorry Brandon couldn't make it. Brandon's a hard-working entanglement guy. He got more entanglements on more fields and courts than anybody you'll ever meet.
Hey,
And I think he was right to name himself Coach Big Sexy because he always in the middle of something. But he said he'll be back next week and he'll be ready. And so we want to thank y'all for joining us. And whew, I got one more thing before we go, because it's always for my boy, because I got to keep him right.
Oh, Lord.
Y'all, he hates these, and I got to make sure they always show up. And if you hate them, I don't care. I don't care. Oh my gosh, Gonzalez, perfect timing. While I was changing to my Martian footballs, Gonzalez said that Brandon is in the big sexy matrix. So whenever Brandon is out, we're gonna say he's in the big sexy matrix. This is so freaking awesome. I love it. We'll catch you guys next time. Peace.